We got one of the Yankee clutch hitters of all time in the World Series, Jim Leyritz, here with the Artie Clear Show. Who was the three-run bomb off of Mark Wohlers? Was that you?
I believe it was. 96.
I thought so.
Yeah,
96.
I
It
believe
was
96.
down 0-2 in that series. The Atlanta Braves won 4 in a row and come back and win that series. The first year
Yeah.
Joe Torre, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the first time in 18 years we brought a championship back to New York, and we were in a situation where fortunately I hit the home run and we tied it. We tied the game up, and then Wade Boggs gets the winning walk to of all things that he would get to move us to win that game and then propel us to the championship. And basically what it did, it kept that team together. George was ready to get rid of everybody. He was ready to fire Torre. He was ready to get rid of that whole team because we kind of embarrassed ourselves the first 2 games. But when we came back from that, he kept that core team together, and that core team went on to go ahead and win 4 more championships, and it was pretty special.
Mariano Rivera was a setup guy at that time for John Wetland, and he becomes the Yankees' all-time greatest closer. Still the only player in baseball allowed to wear 42 because in 1998 they retired that number. If you had it before then, you were allowed to wear it, and of course Rivera is the only player that wears it. Once he retires, which could be after this year, they'll retire his number, and that will be the end of that. Nobody will ever wear 42 again. Let me ask you a question about the 3-run homer he hit off of Mark Wohlers. Did he do you a favor throwing you that curveball? Because his fastball was at 98 to 100 miles an hour. Were you looking for something hanging like he threw to you?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I know I was looking for a fastball. After he had just thrown a good slider away, I figured, okay, he's going to come in with a fastball, and fortunately, he sped up my bat by throwing a breaking pitch, and that's why I was able to pull it and be able to hit it out.
How do you think the people in New York felt when you hit that home run?
Well, you know what? I've heard all the stories. It's great. That's the great thing about New York is everybody remembers to have a moment like that where people remember where they were. A lot of people said they were walking out of the bar already, and all of a sudden they had to turn around because they heard everybody screaming and yelling.
I was with my future ex-wife.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah. So it's just really neat for a guy that was with the Yankees from when we weren't winning, when we were a last place team, when we were drawing 17,000 fans in Yankee Stadium, to see that. To get that, be on those teams that all of a sudden now brought the championship back and be a big part of it, it was pretty special.
Steinbrenner, one of the greatest owners of all time in baseball history, took a Yankee team that was depleted, bought them for about $10 million. And he only put 2 of his own up there. All of a sudden, he started turning that team around. They became a great team in the late 70s. And a little bit of a lull. Then here he comes the 90s, and Joe Torre and that management, 4 World Series down there. Great tradition, 27 all-time championships in the World Series, over 40 times. How special is it to put them pinstripes on, Jim?
Oh, there's nothing like it. You talk to anybody that's come over from other teams. I was one of the guys that came up through the minor league system, one of the few guys that, spent the 4 years in the minor leagues and came up to play in 1990. When, like I said, when all of a sudden that transition started taking place, that Mr. Steinbrenner and with the help of G. Michael and Buck Showalter started bringing in the young guys, started building from within again, and instead of getting the free agents and everything else, and then it was me, then Kevin Moss, and then all of a sudden Bernie Williams, Andy Pettit, and then of course Derek Jeter comes up. Building from within is what really turned that whole organization around, and it was great to be one of those first few guys that was able to get that chance.
Mariano Rivera is one of the only Yankees also, and they filled in some spots with Wade Boggs and all that, but they did grow the farm system to be really an elite farm system. But back in the day, when they really started to get good is when they made the trade for Willie Randolph, who was with Pittsburgh. Once they brought Willie to that team in the 70s, it started to get that team on a higher level, and he was a good leader, Willie Randolph, for the Yankees. And all of a sudden, here comes Reggie Jackson. Greg Nettles in the trade with Chris Chambliss. That's the trade that really put you over the top, was that particular deal right there. Then you bring Ed Figueroa in here with Mike Torres, and all of a sudden, here's the Yankees as a killer-diller team, and back to tradition, them winning World Series, getting into the playoffs and everything like that. New York has some of the greatest fans of all time, and I'm so happy to have an interview you, and also let you know that, Jim, that he's going to be joining us on the Artie Clear Show. We're going to do a baseball hot corner with Jim Leyritz and myself, Artie Clear, in a very, very near future on Wi-Fi 1460 AM here on the Artie Clear Show. And Jimmy Leyritz. Jimmy, thank you so very much.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You got it. Thanks.